need that perk. Got that 2-4 chillin' on my shirt. Added 7 cause I always put in work. 24/7, let me kill the verse.
We are here in, I guess you'd call it the new studio. I am in Boston, the Organized Sound. I'm your host, Mahib Balde. We are back. I am joined by Anson Raps.
Yo, what's good, what's poppin'?
And today we're going to talk about his progression in rap music. He's got a real buzz going on right here in Boston, the Beantown, but he's also got big plans to take things worldwide. So we're going to talk about his music, talk about his rise in hip-hop, and also the art that he does. So, yeah, first question, I guess, where are your origins in rap music?
Man, rap is like definitely in my veins. My dad was a DJ. My mom was like super into hip hop. I actually like wrote my first record with my brother and my mom. So it's definitely deeply rooted in my family, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And so talk about growing up in your family and what your parents did to inspire you towards music.
Yeah, for sure. My dad was like, you know, spinning records all the time. I remember like going upstairs being real young and like seeing him like mess with like, you know, some like classic Method Man or some Biggie, just cutting it with instrumentals. He got me a beat machine when I was like 10. I used to like sample like the old sampling. I used to do it on the beat machine and like pretty much do bootleg tapes off of SP404. Playing around with that, and then my mom was always like just into like Biz Markie and like, you know, KRS-One and even like R&B music and dancehall and reggae. So like I feel like I have like, when I do weird things with my voice and I try to experiment, it's more of those reggae artists coming out a little bit.
Okay, so those are your early influences. Talk about I guess growing up where you did in Dorchester, outskirts of Boston, and how that kind of shaped you and who you linked up with originally.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Dorchester, lived like by Fields Corner, like right up the street from that park Stiz always talk about all the time.
Yeah. Shout out Cousin Stiz.
Yeah, definitely shout out Cousin Stiz. Yeah, man, it was like kind of tough out there, and you know you had to be very street smart. So I learned to be observant, and I feel like it translated in my music and the messages. I always like to tell a message, even if it like is hidden behind like a really catchy line or something like that. Or, you know, I feel like that's what you got to learn, like being from that area. But as far as like the homies I linked up with, it was like a lot of people I did music with when I was younger. I used to skip class to go to my brother's school to record records, so much that the music teacher thought I went to his school. He was like, "You taking my class next year?" I was like, "No, I don't go here." Yeah, man, just being in different rap groups, different crews. I dropped 2 CDs and I wrote one, about 5 projects before I got out of high school. Like had music videos on the radio, all that. Like when I was in high school, I remember going into college, like when J. Cole said, he was like, "Oh, like I feel like I'm gonna get signed." Like that's how I felt. Like I was like, man, my freshman year, I'm not gonna be here anymore. Like I'm gonna be gone. You know?
Word. So talk about, you went out to Framingham State for school, and talk about that experience.
Yeah, Framingham was super dope. I went to school for art, so that was just like a different world of education. Like I was in longer classes, and the classes were kind of like based off of thinking process instead of like, I don't know, I didn't have the right papers. Like I had to
it wasn't procedural.
Yeah, I had to draw objects for 4 or 5 hours. and I only had 4 teachers, so like they really knew my personality. I was in classes that only got up to about 11 students, so we were very close. And
well, talk about where your passion for art came from. Was this mostly for drawing and painting?
Yeah. When I was young, it was like comic books, trying to copy comic books. That's kind of like how I learned how to draw. And my grandmother just told me to keep at it, and like art and music was like all I did all day when I was a little kid. Literally, like maybe play Pokemon cards or something. Like that, you know?
No Yu-Gi-Oh?
I was more on my decks. I had my energies.
Right.
You know?
I feel you. Pikachu on the bench. All right, and then you ended up dropping out of Framingham State.
Yeah, it's I kicked out.
Talk about that.
Kicked out. Yeah, man, I was.
Or talk about like what happened after.
Yeah, for sure.
That period of your life.
Yeah, Framingham, I was running around making some crazy decisions. Caught up with me, ended up getting kicked out of school, but that kind of changed my whole attitude about like what a real work day means to me. So like when I left school, I was still friends with my drawing teacher, and I used to like ride trains all day, like all day. That's what I do. I would try to draw somebody and the amount of stops that they had on the train. So like it trained my eye to figure out what's the most important feature that makes that person distinctive in 3 stops or 2 stops or 1 stop, maybe 5, and I would sign them and give it to the person.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it was like it kind of started as like I had this like Instagram, and I like signed up with the Instagram, and I was trying to like promote the Instagram, and I just didn't really know what I was doing in my life, but like I knew that drawing made me happy. So like when I would link with my teacher, he was like, man, like this is the best work I've seen ever from you. So like maybe this is like a blessing. So I feel like that was like real school for me. And after that, I ended up moving out my mom's house and linking with some like really dope musicians. My boy Marco Marcel, Taylor Donovan, Liam Chop Thomas, and that's when I started working on like a conceptual album and kind of figuring out how to rebrand myself. Like at that point, I already put out a bunch of music, but it was like a couple years since my last project. So I was like, what do I really want to represent? And I really thought about who I was as a person and what my experiences was, and I realized like the art and the music was always a separated thing. So I began to combine them. And at that point, I started realizing what my persona would be, and I changed my name. I went by AJ before, because my name is Anson Jr. But like AJ is not SEO, like a clip. You type that in, you hear like AJ and Allie, shout out to AJ and Allie, but like, or some
Disney
like,
Channel?
Straight up, they're number 1 on that.
They got it on lock.
They got it on lock, so I'm not trying to buy them out, anytime soon. So so I went with my real name, Anson Raps, and I started to tell myself that I'm the art rapper. I live that. And these are just paintings with words.
Word. I saw a Facebook post from you that said, being a Uber/Lyft driver is how I fund my music career. And so I think there's a lot of artist type running around, and they kind of need to have a job going on to support them, even though they're working on the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Talk about, post-college, what you were doing to make that happen.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, I had a million jobs. And I started working on a startup company that dealt with music marketing and just networking with different people in the scene. And like starting a business is very hard. It's super hard. So I had a bunch of jobs on the side, and then I started working with Lyft, and I was like listening to a lot of Jay-Z around that time. Like Jay-Z got that line, I came and they came 100 grand strong, 9 to be exact. You know, he was doing other things with his money, but I listened to that line and I kind of made up my own line that I plan on like putting on a record soon. Like it's like something I'm putting out into the future. Like I came in the game 50 grand strong, 45 to be exact, from dropping off the Zex. I was in my Lyft bumping my shit, simple and the Cause I'm in my car having conversations with people, and like it's more like I'm like speaking my. They're like, "What do you do besides this?" And I'm like, "I'm a musician." And they're like, "Okay, like tell me more." And I'm like, "I'm a visual artist," and I tell them about where I hope to be in 5 years, and it's always like a beautiful conversation. And sometimes it leads to me playing my music, and sometimes it leads to a new follow, and it actually has led to people showing up at my shows. Which is,
really?
Yeah.
Off the Lyft.
Yeah, this guy I played some unreleased records for, hit me up at my live show when I did the Nick at Night show, and he was like, "Hey man, I met you 6 months ago in Lyft," and like,
and he follows you.
Yeah,
for real.
I was like, "I see what you're doing. Like, I'd love to come through." And he came through.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got a ton of stuff going on right now. The single movement is going crazy, and I think this revival really starts with the new management that you have.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Yeah. Shout out to Amanda Schaefer. That's my manager. That's my business partner. Our relationship started off as me just being an artist that showed up to her open mic that she hosts at Dudley Cafe every first Wednesday of the month. Hope Inc. They do amazing work. I came through. She was very impressed with my performance. I had Marco right beside me playing the bass, so it was like super dope night, like spoken word type vibe. Yeah, we kept bumping into each other at different events, and she was like, "Man, I really like what you do," you know, and we just kind of started hanging out, and it was kind of like a joke at first. It was like, "Hey, like, what?" I was looking for a PR agent at the time. Like, have you ever done PR? Like you're on the radio. Like, how you feel about that? And that same night, we happened to be at Bijou. My first time ever going to Bijou. And she's in the DJ booth, she's screaming at the DJ, "You've never heard of Anson Rap? You should be playing this record right now." And I'm like, what? Like, word, like this is the perfect mesh to my like calm personality.
Advocacy. Yeah, advocate.
Yeah, so it started off like that, and then she started booking shows for me. She brought me on the radio and introduced me to a lot of people on radio, got my song on the radio, and after that, like, shows started coming, and she was helping me out a lot. So now it formed into a booking agent / manager, because like it became like, all right, I booked your show, but like let's promote it, and like how do you feel about the aesthetic of this, and like it turned into like a day-to-day conversation, like what's happening, what are you doing. So I'm like, man, she's my manager at this point. And we're getting some like super dope free legal consultation contracts from Harvard, and Harvard actually has a clinic that helps out entrepreneurs and musicians. A cool plug, my homie Jay Prism, I did a show with him, and his dad was there. He's a professor at Harvard, and he's like, "Yo, I love your set. Like, you should come by one time." And he just explained to me what they do. Like, they have real law professionals oversee the students, and the students take cases, and whatever you want, you kind of get from them. That's their classwork. So like right now, their classwork is like helping us out with all our like legal.
Man, that's a resource.
Yeah, and it's been around for a while. So I hope people listen to this and they like look into it.
They can take advantage if it's something that applies to them.
Yeah, sure. I'll send you some links.
Nice. Yeah, we'll post those links in the bottom for sure. So you've got a show coming up that you're here to promote.
Mm-hmm.
When is that and where is that?
November 5th. Sonia.
Ears open.
Mm-hmm. Sonia. It's the Middle East's brand new facility. Beautiful. 350 capacity. New equipment. The lights are amazing. There's actually like a super dope hand-drawn mural on the awning so we can walk in. It has like a real artsy vibe, and we had like a lot of conversations about like where should my first bigger show be, because it's all about packing a venue. So
right,
where you start kind of dictates like
where you go.
Yeah, you know, so 350 is a huge number. A lot of like new artists don't start that high, but I want to set the bar high for myself, and I want to be able to talk to the bigger players. And I want to keep my same aesthetic as the art rapper. I'm coming to this new facility that's like, it looks like a contemporary art museum, you know, like got that type of vibe to it. Yeah, the show's called Surprise, and it's surprise because there's some talented artists on the bill. Oompa is super dope. Man, I don't even know where to start with her. She has national accolades in the poetry space. Community leader. She's been running the Rap Slam at Haley House. It's actually about to be at NFA this month. Just crazy. Every time I see her, just love and just crazy moves. Casso, who I went to high school with, like super confident dude, like walked up to me in 7th grade, was like, I'll battle you right now. I was like, what? Billy,
you got ready for that.
Right. Still has the same type of confidence today. Billie Dean Thomas, who's just like, man, she's been on The View, ABC's The View. She's done some work for NPR. Just very smart, very versatile, has like hard bars, but like keeps that like musical sound behind her. She kind of like got like a no-name vibe to me. You know, the whole show, and of course myself, and the whole show is being backed by Megazord, which is Marco Marcel, Liam Chop, who I lived with for a little while. I feel like that experience doesn't happen to it's usually like a very musical show, and musical people show up, and then like a rap show, and rap people show up. But like a lot of people have placed me apart. Kind of like I've kind of leveled up as an act because I always come with a band, and I feel like all the musicians I know, they need gigs, and like there are dope rappers out here that like would sound dope with a band. So I kind of wanted to like set a standard with the show and like show people like, yo, all these people are dope and this band is dope, and like we're gonna come together, and it's just gonna be a show where you're not gonna know what's gonna happen next. Like that's why it's called Surprise. Yeah, November 5th.
Nice.
Make sure you get your ticket. Tickets on sale right now, online and physical.
And you're gonna definitely get that link below. And so let's talk about new music. I assume you're gonna put an album together.
Yeah, tons of new music. I've been working with a lot of artists. A lot of artists.
Do you want to name some?
I mean, of course, the homie Trevor Holmes.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I was on his 617 project.
Incredible vocalist.
My homie Cyrus Brooks, who's fresh out of Paris. You know, he got the Perry vibe right now. I'm gonna keep it there.
Yeah, you got some other secrets and stuff.
I got some heat though.
I feel you. And so, do you have kind of a release date for that, or is it just floating? 2018? Question mark?
Yeah, I'm thinking like wintertime vibe, you know. Heat up the winter.
Word.
With some new stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. And so you're also making international moves, and you really want to break out into the Australian scene. Have you ever been to Australia?
Nah, never. But
talk about it.
Yeah,
what you know.
For sure. I want to move to Melbourne, Australia, which is like southeast. I don't know if people say this regularly, but like 3 years ago in downtown Boston, there was like advertisements for Melbourne, and it said Melbourne, Boston's sister city. Literally. So,
I missed that one.
Yeah, so I mean, I've met some people from out there, and one of my homies, shout out to Dakin, that's my guy. Mentor of mine, has been out there for like 4 years, and he's been calling me every year, like, yo, man, you need to come out here, you need to take advantage of this. Yeah, he's like called me every year, and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm coming. I'm definitely coming. But Melbourne's really small, artsy, fashion type of vibe. Small city with a big population, very similar to Boston. The music scene is growing out there. Hip hop has only been monetized for about 14 years, which is like crazy. There's some really dope artists coming out of there as well, and the royalties are different out there. You get a public performance royalty out there, which is something you don't get in America. If someone was to cover your song at Summer Jam or something like that, like, because you wasn't performing, doesn't count, because radio in the United States went to government in the 90s, and they were like, we're not paying for this. Like, we want to be able to play something and not have to pay each artist. So in Melbourne, anytime your song's played, it's a public performance. And with things like podcasts and
DJ events.
Yeah, like that royalty is very important for like a person that's like a producer who's not actually like performing at the show
on the road
to get that royalty, you know. And jobs are dying because people are paying less for music, but music is being consumed at all-time high. So I love to like go down there and learn how like it works.
Is there do you think there's a silver lining to the streaming age and a point where we're gonna kind of make sense of all this, and what needs to change?
I've read some reports from man, I forgot the name of the organization, but they're through Berkeley, but just the transparency of like okay, a song is streamed. Like, where's the money go? Where does it go? Like, an advertising agency pays a streaming company, a person pays the streaming company a subscription to hear the music, the song streamed. Like, what happens? Because
I would say presumably they give the streaming company gives some of this money that they've taken in, shells it out to the label. And then I guess there's the gray area of, is it the label paying the people that made the song, or is it the streaming service paying the people that made the song?
Well, the crazy thing about it is, which most people don't know, is all streaming companies were startups at some point and they didn't have the money to buy catalogs from labels.
Yeah.
So they sold equity to labels. So now there are deals going on that cut the artists out because they're like conflicts of interest at hand. But that's cool, you know, like.
So follow the money trail's gonna hopefully relinquish this.
Well, I mean, when you have
misappropriation,
when you have like a disruptive streaming service like Tidal, who says we're not gonna rely on ads, we're just gonna rely on people. Like Tidal only asks people to pay like the low end and the high end of what streaming is, versus like the free tier that's based off of the big market. you know, a bunch of people coming in doing it for free. That's when the ad agencies take advantage. Tidal was saying, no, we want the people to pay for the music. And they pay double the royalties. The royalties are very, very small right now. It's like 0.117 of a penny. But like, the fact that that's double says a lot to what's going on, because the ad agencies are paying money too. It's not like I get it, the person isn't paying that subscription, but there's money on the table, and a lot of that money is not transparent to a person that doesn't even have label backing. Most of the time the money goes to the label, and then there's a contract that they already worked out. But what happens to the person that doesn't have a contract with anyone? They're just an independent artist and they put something out. How do they know exactly what's happening with their money? And there's a lot of conference talk about that. Like, it's a huge topic. Like, we need to be more transparent. That's in the YouTube world. That's in a lot of worlds. But on the positive note of all that, there's never been a time in music where you can have a lifelong fan that you can make money off of for their entire lifetime. So before it was like, yeah, I bought this record, I bought the vinyl for $20, and like I listen to this vinyl every single day, and you got that $20. Versus like, even if it is a penny right now, I'm streaming that song every day for 50 years. That penny is gonna add up, and it's gonna surpass that $20. So like, we're at a point where it's like, you can have a lifelong fan, and you can have a new fan that goes back to your back catalog, and you still make money off of that. So it's a beautiful time, and the streams are gonna go up when you have things like Tidal, and you have people like Taylor Swift speaking out like, I'm not gonna drop my album if y'all, you know, y'all don't treat me right.
Right. Putting your foot down when you're in a privileged position.
Yeah. But I mean, like, some of that stuff could happen because like the technology just hasn't caught up. Like, changes every day. Like, people want to access the music now. They don't want to own it. So like, how did any of these companies know that this was going to happen? You know what I mean? So like,
right.
It's going to be awkward for a little while, but once everyone figures it out, like, I feel like it would be good. Like, cause there's like beautiful opportunities if you know the interface of Spotify. Like, if you get how that works, and you can create content to like
drive more people to it.
Yeah, it's
drive
like,
a lot of people to it.
Like, a record store would never do that for you. They don't know the algorithm of the person walking in, and they can just like.
They can't just.
You know what I mean?
They don't
like,
have a sticker on their forehead that says
right.
like, I like this type of artist. Recommend me this type of artist.
You know, so like I want to seem like I was like bashing those
It's
dudes.
powerful and in targeted time.
Yeah, we just got to figure it out.
Part of music.
Yeah.
Speaking of figuring out, talk about you as an artist and the marketing strategy that exists right now in this new streaming age.
Word. I feel like marketing right now is content driven. Content's king. If you're not active on social media and you're not putting out experiences, you're kind of losing out. I feel like most fans want to be there with you through the whole process, and like, now you can show your process. Before it was like, we recorded this album for 9 months and now it finally came out and you get this one video. Now it's like, yo, I can literally like take my phone out and like show you
every day of that album.
You know, and like, now you can trade that experience for something, or you can sell that experience if you want. But like, for a musician coming up like me, I'm using marketing to like gather data. I'm using marketing to figure out who cares enough. You know, like, I want to know who like the fan, like they say if you have 1,000 true fans, then your career can last. I'm trying to figure out who those people are, you know, so I'm using marketing to pretty much like find that information out.
You were talking about how because of the money situation getting messed up, that people were more beholden to brands, and you talked about the up-and-coming video game space being so popular.
Yeah, yeah.
Talk about those two things.
Word. I feel like music right now and well, audiovisual content is like the greatest drive of marketing right now. So like if you're a brand and you're like the CMO of that brand, you're trying to find out who the biggest influencer is to like leverage your message to people that care about that message in that influencer's fan group. So like DJ Khaled's probably a perfect example. Like he's on Snapchat last year,
Heavily
killing the game. I like there's so many brands that wanted to like
next to him,
Khaled.
right?
Like, just say something. You know, like,
he was on the Turbo Dash commercial. I think that's when I was like, it was either that or Ellen, where I was like, man, this guy turned the corner.
Yeah,
with this stuff.
and that's like surely just being an influencer. And there's so many people that make music that influence culture. And
For sure.
right now, hip hop is the #1 genre in the world.
That is the headline.
You know, so it's like, I think it's like beautiful to be a hip hop artist right now and figuring out who your core audience is, what their values are, who are those 1,000 true fans, and finding out their values and then linking with a brand that already like aligns with that and like creating content together. They have the money, you have the people. Why not? You know, that's where I'm at. I'm trying to figure out who has that message that aligns with my message.
Word. And talking about influencers, what do you think the value is in relation to video games?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, when it comes to the live streaming space,
yeah. So like Twitch, stuff like that's what you're referring to.
Like if you're playing a game live, like that's what's winning online right now. Because I don't know exactly why, but I feel like I used to watch my little brother beat games all the time. Like I'd just be in the room with him and he'd just be playing,
observing,
you know. But like you can watch that and feel like you're playing the game too, you know. I feel like that's one of the reasons why it's so popular. But like, or maybe you can't afford the game, and like maybe you want to figure out.
You want to check in and you're curious.
Yeah,
about how it is.
For sure.
And then a lot of people bring their personality to it.
Yeah.
Which is entertaining to see those two.
Yeah, for sure.
Things at play.
Okay. Yeah, I mean like that, just like.
So for you, are you thinking about reaching out to a streamer and saying, here's my music for free, feel free to use it if you mess with it, and hoping that they might give you a look like that?
Yeah. I mean like, I'm more curious to do that with like someone that's kind of like up and coming, so it like makes more sense. I feel like the really big guys are just like they hear that every day. So
Definitely.
Probably
you want to build with somebody.
Yeah, for sure, and like something that just makes sense with my brand. Like even if it's a game I've never played, just the person that's behind like what's driving the traffic. If I feel like we would vibe as like just people, like yeah, let's do that. You know what I mean? Like, and there would have to be some sort of trade. You know, like do people that visit your page like my style of music? If they do, then like yeah, let's go. You know, the hardest part about that is like how do you find that? Like how do you make that happen? There's probably some companies that are trying to make that happen, but that's like a need that I like have as an artist. Like,
absolutely, that's dope. Yeah. So, big picture, I'd say I want you to put like you have a lot of things on the board. So, what's like one big goal that you have for the future?
Word, buying that ticket to Melbourne for sure.
Ticket to Melbourne.
Yeah. Shooting a really good music video. I'm working on a few things, but to actually put it out.
A strong visual from Anson Raps.
Yeah.
So we can be looking out for that.
Yeah.
Nice.
For sure.
My man.
Word.
Thanks for coming through to mess with me. Good luck on everything.
Word.
And I know you have a bright future. I'm definitely invested in you, man. So I will wish the best for you.
Word.
And this is the Organized Sound Podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for listening. Anson Raps was here today, and he has his show on November 5th. Please be sure to go check him out if you're in the Boston area. And we are signing out.
Why you worried about how the next nigga flexing? When you dumb niggas gon' learn your lesson. Back off cause my patience you be testing. And now I just can't keep dealing with all this negativity. So keep that bullshit to yourself, cause it don't mean shit to me. Nah. Say that shit for the birds. Say that shit for the birds. Give a fuck what you heard. I don't give a fuck what you heard. You can say that shit for the birds.